We have a leaked information about NASCAR going electric. Lots of stuff to talk about in this episode. The first episode post NASCAR 2023. My name is Jet. Hope you're all having a wonderful weekend as we prepare for another episode of Inside Lines. If you haven't already, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. But let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Of course, we are talking about, like I said, NASCAR and EV going electric. Now, this is a hot topic, scorching hot topic. If I say the word NASCAR and electric, especially in certain areas, like if I say in Talladega, North Wilkesboro, I'm pretty sure they would have me hanged by a pole. Okay, maybe don't say it like that. They would attack me with, no. Let's just say they'd be pissed off. All right, let's just go with that. Now, if you did listen to the State of the Sport address by Steve O'Donnell and Steve Phelps, NASCAR did get a little bit, give a little bit of intel regarding them doing something with electricity or electric racing. Steve O'Donnell did say that they do have a testing car ready to test with NASCAR and some form of electrification. There was a report from Kicking the Tires a couple years ago, or last year I should say, that they were planning on to do an exhibition NASCAR electric racing series beginning at the Clash and holding 4 or 5 events in collaboration or as a companion race to the NASCAR Cup Series. That obviously never came to fruition, but they were looking at some form of electrification for NASCAR in general. They even talked about them going to Japan to look at hydrogen racing. Regardless of what you say, NASCAR is looking at the future. NASCAR is looking at where can the sport be 10 to 15 years down the line. The days of internal combustion engines are limited. They're numbered. And good. NASCAR cannot live on combustion engines forever. And I know some fans can be like, oh no, they still can, they just don't want to. No. If NASCAR stays on internal combustion engines, the sport will die. Okay? There's no ifs or buts about it. I know some people are still hung up on nostalgia, but if you are, please drop it. Okay? Because no, NASCAR cannot stay on combustion engines in the year 2050. That's not gonna work. Okay? Look at where the car culture is heading. Look at where technology is heading. NASCAR, at the very least, has to go hybrid. But regardless, let's go back to NASCAR and EV. Remember what I said? NASCAR did have a car to test EVs. Well, we have a look at what that car looks like, and it is completely different from what a lot of us had an idea of when you think about an electric NASCAR race car. Now, credit to Road and Track for getting the pictures of this car that has been leaked onto the internet. And I gotta say, this may be the minority, but I actually like it. It reminds me a lot of a Nissan GTR or any type of GT car to begin with, but obviously let's not look at the color because the color does look like poop. I mean, let's be honest, it literally looks like the color poop. I don't know why they went with that color, but I really like the design of this car. And what NASCAR is going for is a crossover SUV electric racing series. From Road and Track, they said that multiple sources around the series indicate that the car is based on the next-gen chassis in use in the top-level Cup Series, with some changes made to accommodate electric powertrain components. The rear end has also been shortened to fit the design of electric crossovers, which multiple sources have indicated as the expected body style for any NASCAR EV race car since at least 2022. Chevrolet, Ford, and Toyota are all current competitors in NASCAR's major series, suggesting that these cars could eventually race with the branding of a Blazer EV, a Mustang Mach-E, and a BZ4X. So this I really like. Again, I love the fact that NASCAR is testing something out. They're trying something new. NASCAR, the Cup Series at least, should not go electric. Just shouldn't. Hybrid, completely cool with. But having NASCAR and EVs already interesting enough, but having a crossover SUV series, you have to look at where car culture is nowadays. Nowadays, you see a lot more of manufacturers as a whole pushing for more SUVs and more crossover type of vehicles rather than what the Cup Series is currently airing out. Nowadays, it's more sports cars. They have the Camry/Supra, Mustang, and the Camaro. Camaro's going out. They're going out of business. Not much of a focus is on sports cars. It's now on, like I said, the crossovers and the SUVs. And if NASCAR wants to cater to attract new manufacturers to come into NASCAR, having not only an electric series, but also an electric series that's a crossover SUV series. If you are a new manufacturer that wants to get into NASCAR, at the very least, if you are someone that wants to show off your new car, going to NASCAR could be a great opportunity to attract some more manufacturers. And obviously, if they're in the SUV series, they can maybe use other cars to show off in the other racing series. Because if you look at it, you could have 4 different types of cars to show off: trucks, crossover SUVs, and of course the Xfinity Cup Series. We can show off your sedan / sports cars. So lots of interesting moves that NASCAR is making, and I like that they're doing something. They're doing something to prepare the sport for the future. Again, do I think the Cup Series should go electric? Hell no. But they need to have some type of electrification to keep up with the times. You look at motorsports as a whole, they're transitioning away from ICE and going more towards alternative, safer, or should say safer, but alternative, cleaner types of horsepower with electric, hybrid, some battery components, whatever the case may be. It's in WEC, it's in IMSA, IndyCar's look at it, F1's already in it. So many of the popular racing series have already started that transition. And NASCAR needs to keep up with not only other motorsports, but also keep up with society as a whole. And if NASCAR can maybe even get ahead of society, because NASCAR is in a unique position. Because the whole point of NASCAR with how they show off their cars is to show off the cars that you see on the road. It's not like F1 where F1 is, it's cars that you're never going to drive in your lifetime. When NASCAR, you can drive a Camaro, you can drive a Mustang Mach-E, you can drive all these cars that you see on the racetrack and drive it on the road. So NASCAR has a really good opportunity in their hands. If they can build upon this car and create it so that maybe years down the line, they can have a successful crossover SUV electric series, they can now have the opportunity to show off different types of cars / trucks so that any manufacturer who wants to join the sport has a plethora of options to show off their car collection to the masses, since NASCAR still is the most popular form of racing in America. Next up, let's talk about is Auto Club Speedway. And man, Auto Club Speedway, rest in peace, 1997 to 2022, or 97, I think, yes, to 2022. The teardown is official. As you can look at the photos, photos are provided by Rebilas Photo on Twitter. Man, it's tragic. It is sad to see that Fontana is actually leaving us. Now, what's interesting about this, and because there were reports saying that maybe NASCAR may not be going full ahead with this idea of them converting it from a 2-mile track to a half-mile short track, that they're saying it, but in reality, they're just taking down everything. With these photos showing that the demolition process is starting in turn 1, it's not starting at the start-finish line. Now, maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know, but I find that interesting that they're starting in turn 1 and not starting right at the beginning. They're not starting at the start-finish line because the grandstands remain intact, scoring pylons intact, garages and pit stalls, they all remain intact. It's not like your typical demolition of a track where you maybe first take down the grandstands and then everything else. For them to keep the front stretch grandstands, maybe make it seem like they're actually committed to converting it to a half-mile short track. It's not just all talk. Now, even though I am disappointed that NASCAR is doing this, again, I get why. It is stupidly expensive in California. Anything in California is massively expensive. And obviously, a 2-mile racetrack takes a lot of area, takes a lot of money to help keep up. NASCAR sold a large portion of that and made bank off of it. They could use that money to maybe update Fontana to make it a better racetrack, or at least a better fan experience. And maybe they can use that money on other resources, other racetracks, whatever. But I do hope that we get to have some form of market in California, in Southern California. I know we do got the Clash at the LA Coliseum, and I love the Clash at the LA Coliseum, but I don't know how long, if that's going to be. If that's going to be a permanent type of thing like it was when it was at Daytona. But regardless, we need to have a market in Southern California. You just have to. So I hope that NASCAR goes through with their plans and actually converts Fontana into a short track so that we at least have something. And it is a short track, so we should be happy about that. Regardless of your thoughts on NASCAR's next-gen package, we do want more short tracks. Even though it is disappointing, it's coming at the cost of a beloved 2-mile super speedway. Hopefully, this can be the start of good things for at least the future of NASCAR's time in Southern California. And finally, we're going to cap things off with ratings. Everybody loves ratings, right? No. Well, you have to talk about this because I want to take this from a different approach. As we know, ratings are down. The ratings came out for the Phoenix race from Sunday, and these are what the ratings indicate. The ratings say that last weekend's race was a 1.6 rating and 2.92 million viewers, which is down 13% in ratings and 9% in viewership from last year's race. 12 of the 13 Final Cup Series races declined from the year prior. In 2023 as a whole, the series averaged 2.86 million viewers, which is down 5% from last year and is the least watched season on record. However, a good thing to end it off, despite the quiet finish, that NBC's portion of the season was actually a slight increase in viewership. It averaged 2.47 million, up from 2.45 million. Now, I do believe that a big part of that is the Chicago street race back in July, which was the second most watched race of 2023. And I believe it was NBC's most watched broadcast in, I think, 5 years. So I'm pretty sure that was a big reason for that. But what I find interesting about that is ratings are down, yet other things suggest that, which may make you think that, oh, NASCAR is falling, but there are other things that indicate that NASCAR is growing. Tim Clark, who works at NASCAR, said that 20% increase of fantasy players from this year compared to last year. The Playoff Grid Challenge up 101%. Cup race day traffic increase of 25 of the 36 races, our second biggest year ever. And Instagram followers increased by 235% from last year's playoffs. Not only that, but according to Bob Parker's, the Daytona 500, which is about 100 days out, is already 98% sold in attendance, which, keep this in mind, I've been watching NASCAR since 2009. I remember a time, 2016, 17, 18, where there were times where the Daytona 500 wasn't really sold out until maybe the week before. Then last year, it was, I think, a month before, something like that. Now, we're not even at the end of 2023. And it could already be sold out by the time next year begins. Hell, by the time we get December, it could already be sold out. And tickets aren't cheap. I looked up for grandstand for general admission, 230 something bucks. These aren't cheap, and it's already almost sold out. It's confusing, may seem, but I think NASCAR is declining but growing, if that makes any sense. I think NASCAR is growing from within. If you look at the track attendance, according to Steve Phelps, I think it was a 50% increase in terms of tracks selling out or something along those lines. If you look on TV, it does look like more people are attending races now than decades ago or a decade ago. Texas, the fall race, I've never seen that many people at Texas in a long time. So there is this ideology that NASCAR is growing from within. When I went to the LA Clash and I went to the fall race at Daytona, I saw more people, or I should say, I saw more types of people. I saw younger fans, and I saw more hardcore fans of the current generation. I do remember a time when I went to NASCAR races early on that you would see more of the old days. You see more Dale Earnhardt, more Darrell Waltrip, more of the throwback type of fan gear. But now you see more of the Joey Logano's, your Chase Elliott's, Ryan Blaney's, and William Byron's type of gear. You see more of that on fans. So I think it's more or less that NASCAR may be dropping of the casual fan base, but they're getting more hardcore viewers to latch onto for the long run. You also have to consider the fact that TV is going down. Cable is going down. I, for one, haven't been watching NASCAR on your traditional TV. I've just been watching it on my computer, on my PC. So I've been making that switch, and I'm pretty sure millions of others have been making that switch. You also have to consider the fact that there are other people that are watching it on rip-off websites or watching it in watch parties, which does play a role in viewership. There are so many ways now to consume content that ratings doesn't tell the full story. That doesn't mean we should just completely ignore it, because it does help give you an idea of where NASCAR is, but it doesn't really tell the full story. I will get into more of this in a video later on into the offseason on my full thoughts on NASCAR and its future, but I find it very interesting that ratings tell one story, but then again, if NASCAR is going down, why is the Daytona 500 already almost sold out? We're not even into 2024. When was the last time the Daytona 500 was this packed, this far away from the season? Again, it's like one thing tells one story and the other thing tells a different story. Regardless of what you think, NASCAR is a very interesting place, and I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in the future.